Hey kids, you're listening to the internet's wettest podcast about video games, consoles, and pancakes. The SML Podcast. Prepare for the SML Podcast.
So I'm grateful that I got lucky in a number of ways, and I'm going to take it as it is, and maybe eat dinner in a bit, but for the most part, just going about it.
You better eat dinner.
Well, we'll try to hurry through this.
What? I'm stuff.
I'm gonna get you.
She's like, or else and she would. I believe it.
She'll take you out.
Brooke don't mess around. Brooke don't play unless it's a video game.
That's true. And sure not, thank you, Andy. And sure not when it comes to Pernell's health, which is everything to me. So don't try me tonight. Don't make me mad. Oh, you're laughing now. You're not going to be laughing later. No, I don't know.
I know. That's why I'm laughing now. I got to get it out.
You're like threatening him to take care of him too.
Yeah.
Like, you better take care of yourself, or you're going to get taken care of.
I will.
We call that, you've heard of tough love. This is ominous love. Get ready. Get ready for it.
No. I mean, Morels Ultimate Game's like, wake up. How'd I get in this cage?
Aw, man, you just spoiled 90% of Otome games, dude. Tap it down.
He's not taking care of himself and down to the cage.
I wish it were 90%.
It's 99.
I wish.
More cages.
89.
Cages.
Anyway, on that note, what's up, everyone? This is the SML Podcast. I'm your host, Joe. Brooke's here, Andy's here, Pernell's here. How is everybody doing?
Doing
good.
Okie goodish. Okie goodish.
Doing pretty good. How you doing, Joe?
I'm feeling good. Like, it's been a long time since I could say that. Like, I'm feeling positive and hopeful. Like, the VP pick today, like, cheered me up so much.
Yeah.
I will say this. I'm not even, I mean, it may sound like I'm BSing because you know who I am, but I'm not much of a political person. But, so I wasn't expecting anything either way regarding who this guy was. But the moment he got picked, people were like saying, like, this is the guy, here's who he is, here's some information about him. And it's almost scary how he seems like this legit wholesome dude who's actually who happens to be a politician. So it's like, I can
like
appreciate
they found a good
that.
one.
Yeah. It's almost like they could have been keeping him in the bunker. Like, we need a guy who hasn't been corrupted yet. Do we have anyone like that?
And he made a couch joke.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he made a couch joke. That is amazing to me. That he basically implied JD Vance is a couch fucker.
I would like to. I still don't understand where that even came from. Only because
I don't know, but it's picked up steam everywhere.
Like, they said it was in a book he wrote, and it's like, this has been proven to not be in the book. I'm like, so where'd you guys learn this? Like, I don't understand. I want to know this. I want to know.
I don't know, but that's the party that doesn't believe in fact checking, so I'm not going to check any of that.
Word.
I'm not facting it. This is me personally curious. I'm not trying to defend anybody. I just want to know. I want the deets. I want
Tim
the
Walls
skinny
was
deets.
like, I'll be happy to debate him, if he'll get off the couch and show up.
So good. And he waited like a full minute to say it. It didn't feel scripted. Like, he just
so good. And he was like, oh,
I really think it was off the cuff.
I'll tell you the best part about that, though. If he wanted to deny it was a joke, he could. Who's going to tell him it's not? It's like, I was just saying he needs to get off the couch and come
here. There's rumors.
What you meant? Why
I don't know what you're talking about.
Why would you believe I meant? What did you think I meant? What was I referring to? Please state it in detail, by the way. What was I talking about?
I'm in a better mood because of that, and because Unk in like the weekend went from dangerously ill to immediately better in like 3 days.
Dangerously ill.
Like he wasn't eating, he wasn't doing anything. He was hiding. We couldn't find him for hours at a time. He wasn't eating treats. He wasn't eating food. He wasn't doing anything. We took him to the vet. They gave him some fluids. They gave him a B12 shot. And like the next day, he's feeling perfect. We're like, you little asshole. You just cost us how much more money?
And you know what he said?
He said meow.
Meow.
Right. That's right. Meow yourself.
But yeah, that was my weekend. Brooke, how was your weekend?
It was all right. I've been feeling kind of sick lately, so dealing with that. Other than that, it was pretty good. Did some mushroom hunting online. We can talk more about that later.
Ooh, nice.
Just kind of generally hung out.
I hope your pasta turns out especially delicious.
Thank you.
Andy, what about you?
What'd I do this weekend?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't really remember. Oh,
mid-move, aren't you?
Say what?
You're mid-move right now, aren't you?
I mean, we moved. We still got boxes and stuff. I think we're always gonna have boxes. It feels like we have boxes forever. No, me and my partner did a pizza stream. That was pretty cool. We made pizza on my stream. We each made a pizza and then also played like Cards Against Humanity with our chat.
Nice.
So that was pretty fun.
Did you do Ninja Turtle pieces or did you do pieces? What were we talking?
We did like full make your own pizza. We like went to the store, picked up all the ingredients, picked up the dough. We were gonna make our own dough, but we just didn't. We ran out of time. So, and then we had like a couple of camera setups. One that was like our full kitchen, so you could see us, and then one on like a table we were working at. And we were making pizza. It was pretty cool. And then we threw it in the oven and ate it.
How do you hook up fun. So many cameras to one computer? Is it just you have a big USB hub and you have like 40 cameras plugged in?
No, I just had 2 for that one, which is cool. Both of my cameras are USB-C. So I just so happen to have 2 USB-C ports on my laptop. Let's set that up.
Jazzy.
Pretty good. Yeah. It's pretty
I have a friend, his house is like wired with tons of cameras. Like, how do you have that all hooked up to one computer? And the craziest part is he's a single monitor user.
Oh, wild. That's tough.
So he like streams, he does chat, he has windows for this and that and everything else on one screen.
Dang.
I have 3 right now and I need like 6 more.
Yeah, I could use I got 2 myself. I could use another one. On the laptop it was a little bit tough, but I had my phone and she had her phone. And so we were kind of like checking chat and checking other things too as we were going through.
I technically have my computer hooked up to my TV as well, but I just have that duplicating my main monitor instead of being a 4th monitor. That's way too big.
A lot. Yeah, that's a lot. But yeah, no, that was pretty much it. My son was with his mom and they went to the lake. And so I ended up driving out there and hanging out with him, doing some swimming and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Hanging out the old swimming hole.
The old swimming hole. Yeah, it was pretty nice. It was pretty nice to cool off.
Pernell, what about you? How was your weekend?
I'm trying to remember what the heck I did Saturday. I'll see if that comes back to me. But I know Sunday,
Were you in a coma?
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was in a coma. But then I came out of it on Sunday, and at the time, I was trying to make sense of like supposedly going to an event with some friends, but most of them, pretty much all of them, canceled on it because they had stuff they had to do. So then I did one of those little anxiety busters and said, I'm going to go alone anyway and see what happens. And I went, had fun-ish. No, I had fun. I met with one of the guys that was there who actually is on the staff, but I also know him from previous events. We hung out and talked industry, like board game industry stuff. And after that, we played a few games, and I came home and started watching Demon Slayer again after putting it off for a long time. Good show, but man, the way they do those battles, I'm like, even for shonen, this is some mess. This is just made up random monkey tongue, but entertaining. So I deal with the entertainment. I still can't remember what the hell I did Saturday. What the hell was Saturday? It's a mystery to everyone.
I've had weekends like that though, so I sympathize.
Yeah, it always ends up being something that triggers the memory. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I did. Because like I know I did. Oh, I did go to the board game shop. I know I did that. I picked up some board games that day, and that was fun.
What games?
So I bought a game called Tyranno, which is a card. I'm looking like it's like a sort of like a tableau builder for points. Similar to like I have another game where you're building cards to make up a Greek legacy and get points for that, or Greek Odyssey rather. And then I hate myself for this, but I still did it. There was the case where I saw a game I wanted to get and it retailed for $80, but then I saw it online for $30 less, which told me that if I was trying to choose between two games, but then realized if I bought them both online, I'd pay an extra $10 to get them both. And I told myself, well, I also give this company enough money that I put one of his kids through college, so I'm allowed to do it sometimes. So I have Space Station Phoenix and Revive coming in the mail. So I did those two things. And that was definitely something I did on Saturday, but now I'm trying to remember. No, that was Sunday too. I did it on the way home from the thing. Damn it. Saturday is a freaking mystery. I don't want to hold everybody up, but just know that at some point during the review, I might go, I went to the thing. That's what I did. And it's going to feel good to finally remember how old I am.
Someone's going to be doing their review. You're going to be like scrambling through Facebook. What the fuck did I do on Saturday?
I literally am going to go to Facebook when I'm not talking and figure out where I went. I had to have posted something that day, and that's all I need to see. And everything else will be filled in.
Oh, man. Speaking of things people need to see, did any of you see the PR press kit that Eurogamer is giving away for Cat Quest 3?
No.
Oh. What is it?
Tell us about it.
Like a full-sized, not like full real life size.
Oh my God, I hate myself. That's what I did on Saturday.
What'd you do?
It happened sooner than we thought. It was my brother's birthday. So he went down to Baltimore to go to Medieval Times for his very first time going to Medieval Times.
Nice.
He's one of the many, many people who only know of its existence from the cable guy. So he wanted to see what it was like for himself, and it was a good time. I've surprised him with a nice birthday present. And then we went to Dave & Buster's. And then, of course, because it's me, I was like, well, I don't want to embarrass anybody here. I mean, I'm with my brother and my nephew. I don't want to make them look stupid hanging out with me. And I said, oh, look, a pump it up machine. And then promptly sweated everywhere. It was gross. But it was also fun. And then we went to like a really cool like nightclub in downtown Baltimore at the top of a hotel, like a Four Seasons hotel. Like everybody was all swanky dressed, and I'm walking there in a little button-up shirt, and I gave it hoots my goots, and had a great time there too. And then we drove home. It was a very good Saturday, and I'm actually sad that I couldn't remember until I thought, oh yeah, this thing.
Nah, be happy because now we have the experience of me being like, oh, that's right, I did know what Pernell was doing Saturday, and I forgot too. I could have technically answered that. I even talked about, I was like, oh man, he's never been to Medieval Times. That's crazy.
Little did he know. But yeah, it ended up being a great time. Like I feel like Medieval Times is the sort of thing where you only need to go there once. I mean, it's worth going back if you want. Like you're not going to be bored, but it's worth going at least once to get the experience of like, oh, these guys are putting on a pretty good show, and you're cheering for your champion up in the corner. It's fun. I enjoyed it. And I really did enjoy eating everything with my hands.
Closest show I did to that was what used to be called Dixie Stampede at Dollywood in Tennessee. I think it's just called like Dolly Parton Stampede now. But it was basically like a North versus South stage show in the middle with like horses and stunt riding and all this kind of stuff. They would have games back and forth, and the final game was like everyone in the stadium style seating would have to like take something, stand up, salute it, and a flag, salute the flag, and then pass it on. And the first team that did all of it, like all the rows, won that game. And every time I've been there, we won. North won. Yeah.
Nice.
That's right. In your face, South.
USA,
yeah, the North always wins.
USA.
In the North.
But yeah, that Cat Quest PR thing, Eurogamer's giving one away. It has like a full-sized cat house shaped like a pirate ship. It like they're giving away a mug, some cat toys, some stickers, a headset with cat ears. It is really cool. There's a link to it in our Discord that Eurogamer's giving away. I don't know if it's a worldwide thing or what, but it is cool as fuck.
Wanted poster.
Yeah.
I really need to give that franchise a try. I've heard, I've just been reviewed on here for 1 and 2, and I've heard nothing but good things about it when it's talked about here.
Well, if you want to hear more good things about it, tune in next episode where we're going to have an interview with Desmond of the Gentle Bros coming on to chat about Cat Quest 3, talk about the history of the game, the history of the series, what we could see coming next. I can't wait. Maybe even a Cat Quest 5 or 6.
Oh, okay.
Meow.
I don't know. We'll have to find out. I'm going to ask about it. We'll find out.
Meow.
Yeah, I am. I'm thrilled we're going to have a Cat Quest interview again.
What day are they coming on?
Thursday. Next episode.
Now, you got to come see how many cat puns you can come up with in the episode, though. If you don't, you're dropping the ball. You got to do it. Got to do it.
I wonder how many cats I had the first time they were on the show. Because Desmond came on for Cat Quest 1 years ago. And I believe he's the one coming back on this week. And I want to say I probably had like 4 cats back then, maybe 5.
You can always give it a quick listen like that. I'm sure at the beginning of the interview, you probably mentioned, as a person that has X number of cats, I had to have you on the show. And that'll do all you need.
I'm guessing it was 5.
I got a couple of cats. I should be on that show.
You should. Join if you want. Shit, you're a host. You too, Pernell.
I do like
you
those
too,
games.
Brooke. Come on Thursday.
All right. No, maybe. I don't know.
Depends on party on Thursday.
I got the demo for it. I haven't played it yet, but I liked 1 and 2 a lot. I think those were pretty cool. Reminds me of like Secret of Mana a little bit.
Yeah, first 2 games were great. I can't wait to hear what Brie has to say about the third one on Thursday. Because she is the reviewer for it.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure she's going to say it's the cat's meow.
Ha! That's a perfect idea.
Dumb. I had to be.
Hey, don't get catty. Let's just carry on.
Heyo.
All these comments are awesome.
I feel amused.
I'm meowsed.
Meowsed.
No, I'm not a meows, man. Come on, this is a child-friendly show.
Oh,
what are you doing?
No, it's not. What are you talking about? Far from it.
Or Acolyte says, as long as the interview isn't a catastrophe.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, man. So, yeah, should we get to reviews? We only have a handful to go through tonight. Maybe we could clear through this one quick. You ready to start?
Ready.
Let's do it.
All right, let's get to it. First game to talk about tonight is Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus, developed by Nihon Falcom, published by Aksys Games, released July 25th on the Switch for $49.99. 10 years ago, a colossal earthquake devastated Tokyo and changed the lives of its inhabitants forever. The city has since been rebuilt and life has slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy. However, behind the veil of this newly built metropolis lies another world, one with a sinister secret. The earthquake that originally destroyed Tokyo was actually caused by the emergence of a mysterious and lethal shadow world known as Eclipse. Now action must be taken to thwart the legions of Eclipse and ensure the protection of peace. Pernell, what is going on in Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus?
Well, Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus is pretty much that narrative that you described, that, of course, being the type of game that this is and coming from Falcom and being a JRPG, you play the role of a plucky teenager who happens to have a strong work ethic and a desire to earn money, unexpectedly coming into contact with the organization that is tasked with stopping the eclipse, which you just described. And that is your main character, though you will control other characters by way of a party system, which allows for hot swapping of awesome units. This is an action RPG in the vein of the later ease games, though pre-party setup, meaning that you're controlling one character with melee attacks and ranged attacks. And you're basically essentially taking place over this, taking that, combining it with, I guess what you describe as like the Persona calendar system to essentially progress through a story beat and, do what you got to do. So at that point as well, I will actually describe the actual game in a sort of a flow. So each day in the game, you are given an intro story sequence where you're controlling the main character. And after that story sequence, you are given access to what's called free time. During free time, you're able to explore the city. There's different locations. And in those locations, you might come across various classmates or friends / party members that you have met. And you are free to do things like shop for items such as food or equipment. You can interact with them and have like social interactions, building up relationships and giving yourself, battle buffs with those party members if you manage to get your relationship status higher and higher. Once you've done that, you are tasked in with going into the evening where more story events occur, sometimes involving you going into a dungeon. Sometimes it's just involving more narrative stuff. But the meat of the game, when all said and done, is those dungeons. And when you go into a dungeon, you will be given a splash screen. The splash screen indicates, one, the number of monsters you're going to potentially come across, or you will come across in the dungeon, and the elemental affinity that each of those monsters bears. You are then able to create a party of up to 3 party members if you've acquired 3 party members at this point. Each party member has their own elemental affinity that's associated with their regular attacks. And then you are set to go and raid the dungeon. While you're running around, your main source of attack is your primary melee attack. You can jump and air attack, do like an air dash attack, or a normal just air attack. You can do a ranged attack, and then you end up getting EX moves. EX moves are built up by buffing up a gauge, and then unleashing that gauge to do a screen-clearing massive strike. You can also eventually do like party team-up moves, or your party members join up with you and you're fighting together by summoning them for a little bit. But primarily, you'll be doing that form of combat over and over throughout the dungeons. You'll find treasure chests that contain items, including things like ingredients to make recipes that will increase your energy or also just buff stats. You will find gear that you can equip, and eventually you'll be able to set up cores that you can equip, sort of like orbments and trails of cold steel. Think of them as just a locket that contains slots that you can insert jewels into, and the jewels give you various stat buffs and the like. And you can kind of customize your character as you see fit based on the ones you have in the actual slots and what those individual slots accommodate. At the end of a dungeon, you'll come across a big jerk bag of a boss, beat the stuffing out of him by way of a lot of parrying and dodging and striking. Honestly, boss fights in this game are my favorite aspect of it because they keep you on your toes when you're playing on higher difficulties. And then after that, you are ejected, potentially from the dungeon. More story takes place, and then you'll go on to your next day. It might be the next day, it might be days from then. There's also some side stories that pop up at the end of various chapters in the game. Sometimes that take place regarding a completely outside of your character, a character outside of your party that goes by the name of the White Shroud. Unlike the other characters, he has the light element. And whereas every other character has an affinity that is strong against one element and weak to another, light is strong against every element except for shadow. And with shadow, wrecks light. So it's like a different way of like approaching like weaknesses and strengths in combat. But the game itself, I feel, is a good chunk of fun. I played it originally on the PS4 when they released it there. I skipped the Vita release and played it on there. And I wasn't expecting to be particularly jazzed about the Switch release. But what I came to realize is that I originally wanted the Vita release because I wanted the portability of the game. I didn't want it on console. But back then, the Vita version ran like hot buttered trash. And it was advised by everybody to not purchase that version of the game and stick with the PS4 one. But for those who would prefer a handheld mode instead of a physical, or sit on your butt in the couch mode, let me stop. I'm done. You can pretty much get this version of the game, and it accomplishes what that one was, what you originally hoped the Vita version would do, which is portable gameplay on a version of the game that runs very well, performs graphically well as well. There's a lot of wells in there. And it's just a treat to play. Back then, people were giving it guff by saying, this is a Persona ripoff, blah, blah, blah. But now, as we've learned, that even though the calendar social system has struck enough of a successful chord that many games are utilizing it in some way. Games themselves can do what they want with it and still be an entity of themselves and still be fun and not be just reflected on as somebody else's baby. And I feel as though this applies here. This is a quality game. If you're looking for a game where you're constantly upgrading your move set and getting, combo customizations and stuff, you're not going to find that here. You're not going to unlock a bunch of special moves. You're generally going to get a boutique of special moves that each character gets access to, but it's unique for that character. But it is their set of moves. Yeah, that's right. Chris ain't here. Someone's got to do it. So I feel like this game does cover the due. And if you're not going to get all the crazy customization as far as moves and stuff go, but customizing the equipment, customizing the locket or ornament. I'm just going to call it ornaments because just Falcom, I'm allowed to do that. Customizing their ornaments and just having a good time with it. I think you'll get a lot out of this, and it is worth your time. And if you've never played this before, I think the Switch is by far the best place to get it.
Very cool. Well, it clocks in at $49.99. Your official verdict on Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus.
It's easily to buy it. I bought it before, and if I didn't own it on the PS4, I would have bought it on the Switch. So it's definitely a buy it.
Very cool. All right, next game to talk about, Raiders of Valhalla, developed and published by Afil Games, released July 29th on Steam Early Access for $12.99. Lead a fearless horde of Viking dwarves, strengthen them with legendary equipment, conquer unknown lands, and witness the colossal destruction they leave behind. How far will you be able to take your warriors? The journey to glory begins now. Andy, tell us about your time with Raiders of Valhalla.
So this time on the SML podcast, I'm stepping away from my usual Metroidvania coverage to bring you a look at Raiders of Valhalla. And I based on our conversation last week, all I could think about was Valhalla, deliverance, why you've ever forgotten me. That's the
oh my god,
Blind Guardian topic from last week. Just a little throwback for you guys.
He did his homework. No, he did our homework for us.
As I think that was like the first song I heard from him too, which was awesome. Anyway, so Raiders of Valhalla, developed by, is it Afil Games?
Yes, Afil? I think.
All right. Well, we'll go with Afil.
I go with Afil. I don't know.
All right. That works. It is a party-based auto battler, as you said, currently in early access. The auto battler aspect, honestly, might not appeal to everyone, but there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. In Raiders of Valhalla, players start by naming their town. I went with epic-sounding names like Vansgard or Explosion Town until I realized that naming the town wasn't super essential. So I stuck back to things like Simpsons references, like Snowball or Snowball 2. Difficulty starts at normal when you first get a new town, and then unlocks progressively through to Ragnarok once you complete the previous tier. So you have to beat the first tier to go on to the next one. Also, side note for you, Joe, I don't know how, but typing Ragnarok on my computer automatically added the umlauts. It seems like my computer knows something we don't. Maybe I know we were also talking about that last time as well. Just if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go back to the last episode I was on.
Really quick, got to give a shout out to Latino Heat, who just subbed for the 20th month. Thank you so much. Enjoy the emotes. Enjoy the kitty cats.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the support.
Thanks for Larissa. Oh yeah, Valhalla.
Valhalla.
Oh man, there were so many good ones in this too. Once you're in the game, you'll choose a starting character. You unlock more as you progress, but some of them include the assassin, the healer, guardian, wizard, or bard. Just a couple of examples. Each class has distinct stat traits like the Guardian with high health and resistance, the Healer with good support capabilities and moderate health, or the Assassin with high crit damage but low health. Some characters have synergies that work well with others and can combine to create powerful effects. For example, the Nimble synergy increases crit damage, Mysterious enhances affinity with spells and debuffs. And what about Brave, which adds extra attack power? That do anything for you, Joe? You into more attack power?
Yes, I love attack. I'm always like in games and RPGs, whatever I'm doing, the first stat I increase is my damage. I just want to fuck things up.
That's usually where I go too. I'm glass cannon for a long time before
stamina. Who needs stamina?
Yeah, just hit once and you're good. So those all these like stat effects too that come with the character can combine and create like larger buffs like throughout the game. So if you get say a bunch of characters with nimble, then your overall nimble synergy increases with all your characters that have that, and it gives you like a big bonus effect to it as well. You also receive starting relics and find other relics throughout the game as well that you can equip. Some, like the Golden Apple or Yggdrasil Sprout, provide additional health to your party when an enemy is slain. Others, like the Twin Daggers or Meat of Heroes, affects attacks and can trigger effects against enemies. And your party can equip 3 relics in total, and all these can be swapped out if you find something that works a little bit better. Between runs, your party returns to town. Here you can visit the forge, the shop, check your inventory, or head out on a raid again. Future updates plan to introduce a skill tree and adventure mode. Not quite in it yet since it is early access. In the forge, you can combine items to create new or rare armor sets, weapons, or even pets, which can be equipped to attack alongside you. The shop allows you to purchase new characters, new armor, or new weapons. Weapons and armor have rarity markers on them as well, and different stat bonuses that enhance things like health, attack power, crit damage, or knockback. Lots to keep track of. Raids involve sending your party out against enemies, which with 3 choices available for each raid area. So you can kind of choose which raid like looks the best. What items seem to be the coolest that you want to get, in that raid, or have the chance of getting, or most gold or whatever you're going for. Raids, armor, and weapons can also be upgraded to receive higher rarity items and gold in runs, as well as higher rarity items in the shop as well. It goes all the way up to 5, so 1 to 5, so common to super rare, which gives you like a 3% chance, I think, of getting one of those. Battles across different terrains are auto-run. Like I said before, it is an auto-battler. So once the battle starts, there's no need for further participation. You can pretty much kick back, watch your guys fight, go get a drink, get a snack, or you can turn up the speed a little bit too and get through that fight really, really fast. After 10, 25, and 50 battles, you'll face a boss. And if your team falls, you can use a white flag to retreat. But once you run out, it's back to the beginning. So you have to create a new town, brand new run on that difficulty setting, and go again. Finally, the inventory screen displays your characters, items, weapons, armor, and all their associated stats. A total of 10 characters are available for your party, 5 starting, and 5 more that can be unlocked with gold. I believe you only start off with 3 originally, and then you have to unlock them as you go, but the more you play, the more characters are unlocked for starting out. As enemies grow more challenging, you'll need to find the right team composition. Like I mentioned before, trying to find those stat bonuses that kind of enhance all the rest of your team's health, attack power, crit damage, those kind of things. And after some trial and error from playing the game, I discovered that my favorite kind of combination was very high resistance with a magic-based team. So Raiders of Valhalla is still in early access, as I've said a couple of times, but in my opinion, a nice light clan management and resource gathering game that can be played during other activities if you choose.
Very
Joe,
cool.
I'll kick it off to you.
It's going to be in early access for about 6 to 8 months. They say the price may increase a little with the full release. They're still debating. Is this something worth jumping in at $12.99? Should they wish list it? Should they pick it up? Should they keep their eye on it? What are your thoughts?
I'd probably keep your eye on it. I'm a little torn, to be honest, because I'm not a big auto battler guy, you know. I don't play a lot of those kind of games, but I got really sucked into this one for some reason. It might have been the resource management or trying to craft that perfect team, or even checking the shop and re-rolling to try to get that super rare gold armor, you know, or weapon, you know. So there's little things in it that definitely kept me coming back, you know, to play it over and over again. I think that was I know we were talking about what we did Saturday. I think that was pretty much my whole Saturday was playing that game.
Yeah, you have a big chunk of hours in the game. I'm looking at the Steam page, and you're at like 10 hours play.
Yeah. I really got into that one for a while. So I would say keep your eye on it. Try it if you're unsure about it. Pick it up if you're into auto battlers with a little bit more, you know, extra stats and management to it, you know.
Well, it's got a 10% discount until the 12th, down to $11.69. Does that affect your verdict at all?
I mean, not really. I think that's only like $1 off, right?
Yeah,
somewhere around there. Yeah, 30. I mean, I'd try it for sure. If anybody else, you know, recommend it, I would try it for sure.
Cool. At the bare minimum, I'd say give it a wish list.
Give it a wish list for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's like I was kind of looking at the developer roadmap, right, that they got going on, and it seems like there's a lot of things that they want to add to the game. But right now it's just kind of not fully flushed out. So I would keep your eye on it, give it a shot.
Cool. All right, Andy, that is it for you. We will let you get going. I know you got some stuff to do tonight. Do you have any final thoughts, final words?
I don't. I'm drawing a blank right now. I'm looking forward to Cat Quest 3 though. I'm really excited about that. I hope everybody here tonight tunes into that one as well.
Yeah, buddy, that's gonna be good.
Yeah.
I don't like this show, but it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of the SML podcast, but
I don't like the host.
Still show up. It's that Andy guy that really gets me.
Yeah. Andy's pretty cool.
Have yourself a good one, Andy.
You guys as well. I'll be lurking on here too.
All right,
Bye.
nice. Yeah.
Later, dudes.
All right, next game to talk about, Tomba Special Edition, developed by Whoopee Camp and Limited Run Games, published by Limited Run Games, released August 1st on Switch, PS4, PS5, and PC for $19.99. As the titular Tomba, you leap, bite, and throw your way across stunning 2.5D landscapes on a quest to overcome a deplorable cadre of nefarious pigs. Along the way, you'll explore ancient relics, discover fascinating characters, unlock thrilling quests, and unearth hidden treasures. It's a platforming adventure that perfectly fuses linear and non-linear gameplay styles. Pernell, tell us about your time spent with Tomba Special Edition.
Well, me getting a review for Tomba Special Edition did wonders for me, because this was the game that taught me that there's a lot of people that would burn games back in the old days of the PS1 era when this came out. And I was not one of those people, because when I first got into it, I made a big stack of games. And I realized that when I would put them in to play them, I didn't care about them, because if I didn't buy it, for whatever reason, my brain wasn't vested in sticking with the game, so I put it down and never came back. Unfortunately, Tomba's one of those games. So I never got to learn what the heck people liked about it, because I ignored it. So when I heard about this release, I was like, this might be the time to remedy that. And I am glad that I did, because even though I've heard some people claim that it doesn't hold up mechanically or whatever, or sluggish control, I disagree with that. I think this game is pretty freaking awesome. I just kind of spoiled the end result of the review, but I will go about explaining why I think that is. Spoilers!
No, I'll still listen to the end. You're on thin ice. So.
Yeah, well, glow about it, because I'm going to have some anger to spit at the end. So let's hear the good stuff first.
So the premise of this game is Tomba is a caveman. Tomba is a caveman who loves to eat and beat up pigs. But one day, while attempting to beat up some pigs, they beat him up and took his grandpa's bracelet. And now Tomba is on a quest to get that bracelet back. And that quest involves 2D platforming it connects interconnected environments and exploration and weird things that don't get explained at all. And that is part of what I kind of like about this game. So Tomba has an experience point system. What is that experience point system? Well, I don't know. I'll talk about that in a minute. Actually, before going, I actually explain how its controls work. Tomba can walk from left to right. And in fact, at the beginning of the game, they kind of explain a bunch of it on a splash screen, which is good because I needed that. But he can move from left to right. He can jump. He can swing a weapon. At the beginning of the game, he has a sort of like a Morning Star sort of weapon where he can charge up and swing at enemies and knock them down. Sometimes he can hit them again when they're knocked down to outright kill them. And he can jump between the foreground and the background, depending on if there's like a wall he can climb or a ledge he can jump down or up to. But there's a number of spots that at first you won't realize they're there, but you'll get attuned to the way the game is set up. You'll start spotting places where you can jump into the background and jump back to the foreground. And I once I realized that, it opened up a number of doors for me that made me happy. He can also swing from a variety of different ledges, kind of like a monkey swing to go from ledge to ledge. And he can also pull himself up on things. Not to say you won't earn other moves as you progress through the game, but those are the ones you pretty much start with. Oh, lastly, you can jump on top of enemies and then pick them up and jump again and throw them into objects to kill them or into other enemies to kill both things. And you get points for all of that stuff. The points in this game aren't just points, though. They are actually called AP. Surprisingly, I guess maybe action points, but you don't spend them to do actions. You actually spend them for a variety of different rewards, depending on what the game is calling for. And you can get things like charity wings, which can allow you to warp back to different areas you've been to, and like items that allow you to get more health points, like on your health point wheel, and so on and so forth. But the thing that makes this game the most awesome, in my opinion, is how the quest system work in this game. You just kind of come across them. You might be exploring, see a monkey up in a tree and go, let me get up there. There's a monkey up there, and I want to see if I can interact with the monkey. So you work your butt off, you figure out how to swing to the area that he's in, and you get to the top, and you have a conversation. The monkey goes, man, I'm hungry. Sure would be nice if I had some food, and bam! Cheeky monkey wants food. That is your quest. It just pops up on the screen. I'm sure it's not the official title, but I prefer Cheeky Monkey Wants Some Food. And at this point, you don't really know what you're supposed to do except give the monkey food. Where do you get the food? I don't know. What do you do with it once you get it? I guess maybe bring it back to the monkey. But ultimately, you just now know this is a thing you want to do. And once you pull it off, the monkey is happy, the quest is cleared, and you get experience points. Or you get AP points for it. But the fact that the game doesn't telegraph the quest is awesome. Like, I'm a spoiled one in a general sense, but it's just worth it for the sake of the game. There's an area in the game where there's a fire brewing. Like, there's a fire just burning, and there's pigs around it, like, kind of hanging out at the fire. And I had to pass this spot multiple times, just kind of taking out the pigs and then moving on. But then at one point, I screwed up and tripped and fell on the fire. Boom, a quest unlocks. Because apparently, landing on the fire, a quest called What's Cooking opens up. I'm like, okay. So I started trying to figure out what to do with this fire. And eventually I did figure out what to do with the fire through a lot of just random thoughts and connecting elements. But again, the game didn't tell me anything about this. And I'm pretty sure I could have just missed it entirely if I weren't just putzing around and paying attention to the things I saw. But that's pretty much what I like about that. I love the quest system in this game. And as you're progressing, you'll eventually get an overarching quest that ties into what you need to do to get your grandpa's bracelet back. And you'll just progress with it. But the thing I wanted to mention that I brought up earlier was the experience thing again. So if you push start on the screen, or whatever button does it in this thing, you'll go to sort of like status screen, and you'll see 3 colorful bars. And they will be referred to as experience, and they have notches on them and a level associated with them. The game does not explain what any of that is. So I'll tell you, it's based on certain enemies you jump on the backs of. Pretty much it. If you jump on the back of a pig and do whatever with them, you'll get experience in the pink bar. And I'm not going to tell you how the other 2 are filled up, but just know that involves specific types of enemies you fight. Specifically by jumping on their backs. If you kill an enemy with another enemy, you do not get experience for that. But there's just lots of fun things to putz around with and figure out in this game. I will say that the controls can get a little like sluggy here and there, but I got used to them eventually and was kind of content with that. There are some platforming challenges in the game. Come to find out, there is a rewind system. I never used it. Admittedly, it's partly because I found ways to get healed by NPCs when I needed to be healed, and also I had a lot of lives somehow. I don't know where I was getting them. I only remember getting 1-1-up, but I had a lot of lives. I had like 19 lives at one point. So the game is not brutal. It's fun. You just got to be kind of mindful of what you're doing and exploring. And there's a lot of humor in it too. There's weird bits like where do you store animals? Oh, you eat them and then spit them back up. Whoa, that's weird. Well, he's a caveman. That's weird. I don't know. Whatever. Point is, there's like weird humor and things that happen, and that's also part of the game's charm. There's parts where the game goes from being a 2D platformer to a top-down like town exploring game. It's great. All in all, I get why people. Oh yeah, I mentioned the rewind feature, so that's good. That's part of what makes this a special edition. You can also save anywhere instead of only saving at specific signposts, which will help for some people who want that. I made use of it eventually when I wanted to log off for a specific time, but otherwise I just used the signpost. But I think I understand now why a lot of people have fond memories of this game and why it held up like it did back then. But Joe had a complaint, and I want to hear what that complaint was. I'm curious.
Not on fucking Xbox.
Oh, there it is.
Limited run. Why isn't this one on Xbox? Why the fuck isn't it on Xbox? It's on everything but Xbox. There's been a handful of games from Limited Run that are on everything but Xbox. Then there's a few that are on Xbox. Why the fuck should we buy the ones you're putting on Xbox if you're withholding other ones for no goddamn reason? That's what upsets me about this game. I love Tomba. I owned it on PlayStation 1. I owned it digital. I bought it on I believe it was PS3 and Vita. You could buy it digital and play it on there.
Yeah, they did online. Yes, sir.
I want to buy it and I want to play it on Xbox, and they won't release it on there because they won't. There was a rumor that it showed up on the ESRB for Xbox, and they were like, "Nope, it's not coming to Xbox." Why? Why? I want to give them
or something.
I want to give them $20 so I could play Tomba, but I don't want to do it on fucking Switch or PlayStation. I want to do it on Xbox. And it's just irritating that Limited Run is only doing some games on Xbox and not others. And this one blows, like, this is the one that has me pissed. And this is the one that makes me wonder if I should bother buying any more Limited Run games. I'm really annoyed about this one. Like, I've let other games, like, oh, whatever, we don't need them, whatever. I fucking want Tomba on Xbox, and I'm pissed about this one.
That could be a general goal in the future. See if you can get an interview with them on the show to be like, why aren't we putting games on the Xbox? And then
so yeah, it's $20 on Switch, PlayStation, and PC. What are your thoughts on those gamers getting a shot at Tomba for $20?
I think those gamers should absolutely purchase and play Tomba. It is a lot of fun. I didn't watch it, but I recall reading somewhere that there's like an interview with the developer on this game on the special edition as well, which would be worth checking out.
But museum stuff with like print advertisements and manuals and stuff like that.
Yeah, so definitely worth it if you're the type that is into that kind of thing too. But I think this game is fantastic, a lot of fun, and I think it holds up from the era which it originally released. So absolutely a buy.
I begrudgingly agree because the game has always been one of my favorites, and I think you should support it in any way you can. I'm still pissed off that it's not on Xbox. Like, royally mad.
Yeah.
Man, now you guys made Joe mad.
Grumble.
Come on. And he even said a curse word because of y'all.
I did. I said the fuck word.
That's how you agree. How good, y'all.
Naughty.
All right, next game to talk about, Morels, The Hunt 2, developed and published by Abrams Studios, released April 17th on Steam for $19.99. Morels 2 is a simulation game about mushroom hunting and wildlife photography. Explore a diverse range of locations spanning across the globe. Increase your hunter and photographer levels by collecting a variety of mushrooms, photographing animals, and completing weekly tasks. Brooke, tell us about your time with Morels, The Hunt 2.
Hey, well, I took this game to review after giving it a precursory glance and thinking this is either going to be a fantastic, cozy mushroom hunting game, or it's going to be a really weird game and make an interesting review. I'm delighted to announce that within 1 hour of playing this game, after about 5 bizarre yet charming screenshots sent directly to Joe on Discord while I cackled, I was convinced it was going to be both, and it was. This game is aggressively cozy. It may actually be too cozy. JK, that's not a thing. Perfect level of coz. A+ coz. And though it features gameplay centered around first-person 3D hyper-realistic open-world exploration, I find it to be one of the most accessible and easy to learn, yet highly detailed with sensitive controls exploration games I have played. Which is great because I want to be able to recommend this one to casual gamers. And I absolutely think if you, for some reason, have never played a 3D world exploration game of any kind, this would be a good starter game for you for that concept. That's how accessible I find this to be. And I specifically am thinking of some older gamers I know, not kids, if that puts that kind of accessibility into picture for you. But anyway, so what made this game seem so weird initially? Well, its entire presentation to the player is just like, get ready, folks. And I'm not even just talking about Squirrel Pong, but I now will talk about Squirrel Pong because it's the best example of what I mean here. This game is not trying to hide that it's doing its own thing and that it makes the rules. The very first loading screen that came up, this is when I started sending Joe screenshots, I was greeted with an extremely hilarious minigame of Squirrel Pong to play while I wait. The screen is bright blue on one side, red on the other side, and there's a very simple, unanimated picture of a squirrel on each side holding a giant ping pong paddle. You control the squirrel on the right by pressing up and down, and y'all bat around a moving acorn back and forth between each other. And it's so hard to explain what makes this hilarious, but there's just this hilariously high-spirited banjo music cooking as soon as it starts, and there's no doubt in my mind that the devs want people to open up this game, see that as one of their first things, go, what the hell, and start laughing. It also gave me such a strange impression of the game going in blind before the first real level. Like, this is a cool little mini game, but it's very, like, retro, to put it nicely. It's very nostalgic and cheap looking, like, on purpose, if that makes sense. This mini game could be a 30-year-old game from one of those 300 games for PC discs. And while that feels on purpose, especially after playing more of the game and seeing how not cheap the meat of this game feels, this mini game in retrospect feels very, like, game dev realized they could do something silly and they may not have had all the right tools to pull this idea off seamlessly, so they didn't try to and spend a couple all-nighters just being an indie dev and making something really cool and funny with extra assets and time they had laying around. If anything, it actually might make the game itself, like, if taken out of context, seem a little less polished than if we just completely took it out, but it's so clear they did it anyway to be funny and cool and weird, and this just gives us a bit more than we asked for no reason. And brother, if you can't respect that, my reviews aren't going to do anything for you anyway, so you need to just go eat something for now. Come back when Pernell or Chris is talking later. You can see I didn't know Chris was not going to be here tonight when I made this. So what makes this game so...
He's gone for that performance in California and band practice and moving, and he's just taking a few weeks off, so...
I feel like an asshole because I sent him some messages. I was like, dude, where the fuck are you? Like, what is this going on? And like, it's supposed to just make him feel missed, but like, I am supposed to know he's in California right now. All right, Brooke, right in. So what makes the game so cozy? Besides the fact we're hunting mushrooms, which is the coziest activity known to man. As you already know from being a person, one of the hardest things to explain with language is vibes. But let's talk some things that make up the good vibes in this game best I can here. The music. You can't have immaculate vibes without music. Chris Taylor knows what I'm talking about playing a show tonight. Hey, brought it back. I love the music in this game. It's absolutely perfect for this game and legit just makes everything more fun to do, which is, you know, what you expect out of game music in every game, but that's not the case. I don't think of myself as a die-hard country music fan first. I was a George Jones guy for a bit. I can also appreciate a good banjo every now and again. This game had music that feels country, but mostly just in terms of what instruments are chosen to play the music. We have some picky, stringy country instruments going on in this game for sure, but it's almost got a smooth pop thing going on. It's very easy to listen to. Never quite too upbeat and never too nostalgic and angsty, which is a line I feel like a lot of indie devs, this is hard for them to toe. And the vibe fits the game perfectly because the first level we unlock to explore in depth is a simple country woods not too far from a dirt road, somewhere nearby a rural town. And it's not the same song all day. In fact, if you don't start a new day and you pause it and you don't walk away and you play it all the way through without stopping all the damn time, Brooke, you can just almost enjoy an Animal Crossing New Horizon experience here, where like it's about a different song every endgame hour, 10 or 11 a.m. in the game. You're enjoying what I think of as the morning song, and you're waking up starting to poke around the woods, looking for mushrooms, looking for animals. About 12 p.m. song changes, and so on and so forth, until we cycle back to the first song if you chill on that pause menu too much. The songs are also just catchy and good. I find myself whistling the melodies of a couple of them outside the game. Sound design. Hey, it ain't all music out there. There's also crunchy sounds as we walk on leaves and explore the woods. Animal sounds. We'll explain those later. And nice ASMR-y sound effects from when we pick mushrooms, take pictures, jump, which we can do, but having to jump is rare. Playability. I find that cozy too. This is a smooth experience. I enjoyed it with mouse and keyboard. I enjoyed it substantially more with controller. It's perfectly playable with either regardless of your game experience level. Maybe if you've never done mouse and keyboard for a 3D game, you want to write down like press E to pick mushrooms somewhere or whatever. For controller, I just used the PS4 controller that was already plugged into my PC, didn't have to set anything up. In fact, realized on accident it was picking up the controller, so I was like, man, this game runs slow, and then I looked on the ground and my PS4 controller was like hitting my chair, so that's what was going on there. Once I figured that out, I was like, damn, you can walk, you can run, you can jump, this game's crazy. So level design. Visuals are on point, like for real. They're super realistic, and if you've ever been in a real, like, common American woods before, the kind that's not super far from a town is just some random trees and vegetation, a couple animals, but not many. This is like that. The animals feel very alive and cute. They're very well animated. Sometimes you scare an animal a little, you have to kind of sneak around to wherever it runs off to take a picture of it. Why do we have animal photography in this game? Well, this isn't just a game about mushroom hunting, you dingus. You also need to be taking pictures of wild animals if you come across them. And every time you take a picture of your new animal that you haven't snapped before, you guessed it, your Pokedex gets updated. Just kidding, it's not a Pokedex, it's called an animal list, but hereafter it will be referred to as Pokedex. Now, don't roll your eyes because this ended up being incredibly fun. We don't even have time to talk about how much fun I had when I was picking some mushrooms off a tree, not the ground this time, it was growing on a tree, and I heard leaves rustling, I saw a big fat rabbit run by. Just made the whole experience complete for me. It was an amazing decision to bring this into this game. And I played a bunch of review games at this point where the devs toss in animal photography. It feels like it's at the end. I'm not going to name any names here, but it's really obvious. Sometimes it's an afterthought. Let's fill this game out more. Let's put a camera in for the animals that are already in there. Not a key part of the spirit of the game. This was not one of those times. The animal photography needs to be in this game. It supplements the mushroom hunting beautifully, and it clearly was an idea that they had for the game before they started building it. One day, I was walking around in level 1, Birch Forest, and I was admiring how pretty and organic everything was, but not like fantasy woods beautiful, just appreciating real nature. And I'm exploring around, and I find this microwave tower with some kind of electric box next to it. We're in the middle of nowhere. It feels very real country to walk across one of these. And I bet some people might be like, well, that's kind of breaking my immersive nature woods experience out here, but not me. A girl from small town on the Florida-Georgia line. This actually upped my immersion. As I checked the tower out, I noticed I could actually climb the stairs of this thing, and that was cool, so I did it. Wow, sometimes I read my notes and I'm like, I climbed the stairs of this thing, and that was cool, so I did it. What is my problem? Okay, so that was cool, so I did it, and lo and behold, I start hearing a little bird chirping as I get higher. There's a little bird chilling in this tower, and I took a pic for the Pokedex, and basically just gave encountering that tower some realism and charm that I wasn't expecting, but did make me feel more like I was in the woods. I have to imagine most people making a game like this wouldn't put a weird microwave tower without anything really going on in the middle of one of those rural exploration levels, but they also wouldn't put Squirrel Pong in it, would they? So this ain't your grandpa's hunting game. Was the tower ugly? I mean, kinda. Everything people make is ugly. Was it really cool to come across it and randomly climb into it to find another unexpected form of nature that has found its way in this life? by building it in the tower that didn't even feel too set piecey somehow. Yeah, that was a dope experience for me, and it symbolizes a lot of the small, cool moments in this game, even the ones that aren't really like that. Got a little off track there. That's in my notes too. I wrote that down. But what I was trying to say is that the levels we explore in this game feel real, and they're legitimately fun and immersive AF to explore without being overloaded with set pieces that make everything feel too curated. And I mean, the level themselves are incredibly big and pretty in their own sometimes hyper-realistic ways, like that we mentioned. And we do have more levels than Birch Forest. We have like a rainforest, secret caves, ocean island chain, and all kinds of stuff coming up in this game. Birch Forest is a great starter location because it teaches us how magical exploring little country road American woodsy area, just undeveloped area without anything special going on, can objectively be really magical in and of itself. And it's a good lesson in this game that's going to end up taking us to crazier locations from that and layering more magical things on top of real ones. Speaking of magic, I did my thing after I went into this game blind, played it a bunch, and then looked up not only other reviewers of this game, but things the devs said about making it. I heard from another reviewer they were tired of seeing unicorns, quote unquote, in a game that's supposed to be about picking mushrooms. Imagine being this spoiled and telling on yourself like this. I didn't know there were unicorns in the game. Guess how many unicorns I saw playing this game? 0? Thanks a lot for making me feel like shit. But more importantly, I'm actually mad I played a couple more hours today when I started feeling better. I still didn't find one. I don't know what the hell is going on there. But more importantly, I also read up on what the devs said about making this game. I learned that they included things like animal photography because they designed this game with their own fond memories of mushroom hunting and their real lives growing up. And they said, not in so many words, I'm paraphrasing a quote of them here, the best part of this experience was what I experienced in this game, exploring nature, coming across random animals and being like, oh shit, spending a day watching the light in the forest slowly change as you ramble around, getting distracted as the day goes by, the sun sinks deeper into the sky, walking around in circles for a while before you realize it. You think this didn't happen to me a bunch, but it did a lot. Getting lost, checking the map, turning background. Sometimes you come across something unexpected, not just the mushroom hunting itself. Although there certainly is no thrill like happening upon a morel. It begs the question, what if the real morels are just the memories that we made along the way? And I couldn't agree more on that being exactly what makes this game a buy it. I find this game to be a buy it.
That is beautiful. I love it.
Let me add a couple more notes here in case you had asked me about rating. I wanted to say I have a lot of nice things to say about this game. When I opened it up and I saw the Squirrel Pong minigame, I laughed my ass off and I said to myself, please be $10 or cheaper game so I can recommend you. Because I figured not a lot else is coming after that. Well, it turns out this game is $20 and the Squirrel Pong is not a good representation of how much high quality, unique, I said it, value you get. See, I'm the one that said it, not the devs. That's how you know it's good. You're getting a lot of value with that $20. This game is worth the dub. If any part of this game sounded interesting to you, buy this game. It's just got a lot of really cool, fun, unexpectedly delightful piece with surprises in it. I highly recommend this game. My expectations were so exceeded. You might say the moral of this story is this is a buy it. Okay, final note to the devs. If you listen to this, I loved your game. I was so surprised and delighted. I would love for you to maybe let us interview you. I'm fascinated by your brains at this point. Although at this point, you've also convinced me you're sick and you do screwed up things to mess with the player on purpose, just to watch us squirm. And I want you to know that I noticed if we look down at our character's feet, our shoes are on the wrong feet. Especially after seeing the other shoe upgrades that you have available. I am now 100% confident you did this just to mess with me. And I'm watching you. Okay, review over.
I love it. The fact that the shoes are on the wrong feet.
Oh my God, I was like, am I dreaming this? And then I got to a shop with all kinds of shoes and I was like, no, they absolutely did. Maybe I'll get a picture and I'll take it for you, Joe. Nice. Fun fact, if I had remained sick all day and Andy had to read this review, he would have said, and I'm watching you, and then it says, reader, please take long, awkward silence here. Okay, review over.
Oh my Lord.
Sometimes.
All right.
Good stuff. All right, well, Brooke, that is it for you. You going to stick around or are you heading out?
I'm going to stick around for a bit.
Cool. We only got 2 more to go. So, Pernell, you ready for these?
Oh man, that's a lot of pressure. Brooke's sticking around.
I'm listening. Don't mess it up.
All right, next game.
Did you eat dinner yet? Oh, sorry.
All right, next up, Union of Gnomes, developed by Hoolignomes, published by HeroCraft PC, released July 18th on Steam Early Access for $14.99. Onwards to revolution in this challenging deck-building roguelike. Free your gnome comrades, assemble your squad, mind wieners, supplies, slay the slavers, and take down the fiercest of them all, Snow White. Freedom to Gnomes. Pernell, tell us about it.
So the game Gnome of Unions is crap. There's the pressure. Stop. Okay. Being serious now. Union of Gnomes is a game that is a deck building roguelike. You've heard that one before, yeah. And at first, when I thought that was what it was going to be, I was kind of like, But I think the theme pushes this quite well into a very favorable territory. But then some of the mechanics are a little different than what I'm used to in the deck builds, at least the ones that I've played recently. So that did a little bit more for it. But let's go into the theme first, and then we'll go from there. So as Joe described in his earlier bit, this game takes place in a world where Snow White is actually not all that fair at all. She's kind of a douche. And as a result, she learned that her singing voice is actually capable of enslaving, and entrancing wildlife and gnomes. And she took that ability and utilized it in a way to enslave gnomes. They were all locked in a place called Gnometanimo Bay.
Oh, God.
My God.
There are some puns in this thing. And they were being used, they were sent there to be re-educated and then used as slave labor in the world in this fairy tale land. But eventually a breakout occurs, and a group of intrepid gnomes are now free. And they are hoping to liberate the gnomes in this world that mistreated them oh so much. Beginning of the game, what you find yourself with is a gnome hero. Eventually you'll unlock other gnome heroes, but you start with the one. And gnome heroes do a variety of things. One, they represent a tribe or a clan of gnomes, which means that leader determines what sorts of other gnomes you can discover and find on your journeys. And those gnomes can make up your party. Also, gnomes represent the cards that you have in your deck. A card equals one gnome. Simple? Yeah. So at the beginning of the game, you are taking that leader and 10 of the gnomes from his clan to make up your deck, and then you go out and choose a level in which to engage. Levels come in a few different forms. One might just be a series of battles. Actually, not to the battle. I'll just go, no, that is what it is. It's a series of battles, typically. And then sometimes they're like event-based, and I'll describe the event-based in a minute. But the actual adventure will be a bunch of nodes, think Slay the Spire, where depending on which one you go to, you'll engage a specific type of event. It might be a battle. It might be a harder battle. It might be a shop where you can make purchases. And I should probably talk about the battle first because it'll make more sense when I get to the shop to describe what you can do there. But in the event you end up in a battle, you will be faced with your enemies on the right side of the screen. And on the left, you'll see your clan hero and a cart just stockpiled full of gnomes. The game will then deal you 5 cards, again representing 5 different gnomes, and you will be tasked with taking action before the turn resolves. Now, gnomes can do a number of things. They can attack enemies, they can apply status buffs and debuffs, and a number of different things beyond that even, like just weird effects. But most important to note about the gnomes is that some require mana and some do not. The ones that don't require mana, just use them as you see fit. They might ask you to discard another gnome or something like that, but for the most part, you can just use the card's effect. The ones that require mana, well, need mana. You have 3 mana potions at the start of a turn. Cards that use mana will deplete that mana. And at the end of a turn, when you enemies will strike, and then when you come back, you'll regain 1 mana, flat out. There are some cards that will get you mana under different conditions or whatnot, but for the most part, you will be making those calls. You also have a number of abilities that can be triggered by usage of wieners. Wieners. Yeah, I like saying that. So what those abilities can involve, and it may depend more so on things, but you might have an attack ability or an ability that can buff defenses or whatnot, but they require a large use of wieners, and I don't like using them because of what I'm about to describe next. Because when a battle is over, you will gain experience points that can be used to eventually level up your clan leader, and you'll also gain money that can be used at the shop, which again, I'll talk about in a second. But then after that, you'll be tasked with going to another location. And each time you go from location to location, you are spending wieners to get there. Think of it as food to fuel your gnome army. If you travel to a location and you do not have wieners to spend to get there, because believe it or not, if you don't have enough but have some, the game will just eat up all the wieners you've got and not penalize you. But if you don't have any wieners on that turn, or for that battle, one of your gnomes that you do not get to choose will just faint, and they are now unusable for the next fight. I was glad to discover that was actually happening because I originally thought that the gnome was dying and you just didn't have them for good. And I thought that was a pretty brutal way to punish the player because wieners go very fast. Very, very fast. But fortunately, every once in a while you'll come across a shop. And one of the things you can buy at the shop is more wieners. Which will replenish your supply and allow you to bolster your special moves and also keep your gnomes from fainting on travels. But you can also spend your money on health regeneration and on upgrading your actual gnomes, which means I don't want to spend it on wieners. I want to spend it on making my gnomes cooler. You might be able to spend it on making a gnome that costs mana actually now costs no mana, which would be freaking wonderful because I don't want to burn mana on a card. Or rather, a gnome. You can also spend it on sometimes making it so that the gnome just does more damage. It might add an effect to the gnome's usage. Might remove a requirement for a gnome's effect to kick in. All kinds of nice things. But the important part is you want to spend that money on upgrading your gnomes. Each time you upgrade a gnome at a shop trip, it will cost you another, pretty much double, or I think it's double the amount of money to do it the next time. I'm thinking, no, it adds 25 coins to the cost. That's what it is. So it doubles it. No, because it goes 25, 50, 100. So it gets expensive very fast. So be mindful of what you are upgrading and make every upgrade count. At the end of one of these runs, you'll be tasked with fighting a boss. By defeating that boss, you will get a series of rewards, such as new gnomes, though you can sometimes get new gnomes during the travel too, but mostly comes at the end, and during chest rewards. And you might actually even also unlock a new leader, depending on the circumstances. And then you'll be back to the main map. There are also storybook events. The storybook event will take place on a screen where you'll see an open book that's sort of like a diorama, a pop-up book, and you'll get a little bit of a flavor story text at the top of the screen. You're then tasked with making a decision, choosing between a variety of options at the bottom of the screen. Sometimes they will yield positive effects. Sometimes they'll yield negative effects. Sometimes they'll continue the narrative. Sometimes they'll just strip end the narrative with a negative effect. Oh, yeah. Sometimes it might result in you getting into a battle. Any number of things. And you can't save scum it, because if you try to pull a Pernell and just back out of it immediately by closing the game because you hate the choice you made, when you come back, the choice will have still been made, and you'll be immediately thrown back into the story at the last decision you were on. So no scum in the event. You live with your choices, sucker. But I will say, this, the game is. I had fun with this. You remember, you were you want to review, Union of Gnomes? I was I feel like it. I don't want to do this game. Well, I'm glad I did, because I had fun playing it. This is one of those times where I did not expect what I got, and what I got was joy. The humor might not be for everybody, but even if you're not fond of the humor, it's not enough that would make the game itself bad, because mechanically it is awesome. I think the one gripe I had, and this may have been a me problem, it likely was a me problem, but sometimes you might find yourself in a battle that just seems to take way longer than it needs to take, because of it becomes a battle of attrition. I had a battle once where a guy had 40 shields. Mind you, there is a gnome that will just outright kill an enemy's shields, but I didn't have that gnome. And I didn't even know the gnome existed at this point. But I had 3 enemies. They were all very much in sync with each other, and I was very slowly chipping at the one character that was holding the entire glue together, almost like the Mage Sisters in Final Fantasy IV. But eventually I did knock that character down. The rest started falling like dominoes. But it took a while to get to the point where all three of them were dead. And I was surprised I was holding on that long. Largely due to the freaking mana gnomes that give you health if you have shields up. In addition to giving you mana. They kept me going. Also, a gnome that let me pull from my discard and reuse a gnome I had already used. That was free. Which was like, bang, get down to business here. But the game is great. Also, one last thing I should mention. I did mention that you start the run with 10 gnomes from your tribe. Those gnomes each come with a wiener cost, which determines how many wieners of 100 you start with at the beginning of a run. But when you find gnomes during the run, they are added to the stack. So you're not limited to 10. You'll get more. It's just at the beginning of a run, you have to choose 10. That's all. So with that said, Joe's time.
All right. Well, the game's $14.99. They expect to be in early access for about 6 months. Based on player feedback, the price might go up as more content is added to the game, but they aren't entirely sure. As it stands right now, $15. What should people do? Should they check it out, wishlist it, ignore it? What do you think?
I think it's a genuine try. I mean, I don't know what they're going to add more to it. So if you're the type that likes to see the final product, I think the game is fun right now. So genuinely worth trying out. And if you find it, suits your fancy, definitely go out and grab it. But I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Sounds good. All right, we got one final game to talk about tonight, and that is a preview of House of Golf 2, developed and published by Starlight Games. This one's coming out August 16th on Series X and S, PS5, and PC. House of Golf 2 delivers an engaging multiplayer golf experience with over 100 unique holes to conquer. Gather up to 4 players for lively couch play sessions, showcasing your skills with jaw-dropping shots. Compete in live tournaments for exciting rewards and leave your mark on the world of golf. Pernell, we got a preview build of this that had the tutorial and I believe, 3 of the championships to check out. What are your thoughts on it? Well,
I primarily just dabbled in playing golf. And what I came away with was that I had fun with it. I like it's more so the imagination that came from the courses themselves, because when you lay it on the table, the game itself is golf. I mean, mini golf. It is straight up mini golf. But it is what they do with the mini golf as far as the courses are concerned that I think really makes this game special. And I like to see more they do with it going forward. But just going to specifics here. The idea in general is that you are going about a series of golf holes. And each of those golf holes, just like normally, has a certain par to them. Get under par, get a higher score. Get over par, well, I'm sorry to be you, buddy, but you suck at golf. I suck at golf. And what ends up happening at the beginning of a hole is you are placed in a certain rectangle. And in this rectangle, in a rare event, I feel like with a lot of golf games I've played, they let you choose where the tee goes. I think that's kind of fun. And that it lets you kind of line up your first shot if there's a situation where you feel like it's better to go in one direction than another or whatever, so forth. At this point, after you've lodged the tee into the hole, or rather into the countertop or whatever surface in the house you're playing on, it is time to golf. And the golf ball can be any number of golf balls, many of which can be unlocked by way of medals or events. But the golf ball is the golf ball. You have a power meter, which you can adjust using the wheel, or rather, I want to say it was the wheel of my mouse. You can kind of adjust it as such. So you don't have to worry about the nonsense of tapping the button once and then tapping it again and hoping you time it right. You can put as much or as little finesse as you want into your shots. And quite frankly, I kind of respect that, because I'm perfectly content with my ability being based on how I line up and measure my damage, not if I miss tap of a button slightly. I kind of like that. And also, the game has enough moving hazards on certain courses alone to make you have to deal with timing those things out. Why have to time the A button too, or rather the mouse click button?
It does have controller support, and it will be on console. So I'm going to guess that there will be some form of click system for those who play that way. But that's really cool to hear about the track wheel, or like the mouse wheel, being used for power. That is really cool.
I'll be honest. I could honestly see them doing that on the console as being, once you're on the shot mode, you're just using the right thumbstick to adjust it.
Maybe.
It would do the same thing the mouse does, and since you're already locked into your position, the left stick can be the camera if it needs to use camera motions at that point or whatever. But if they're listening, it's okay if you give people the option of doing the double taps. I know some people like that, but please stick with the just moving and adjusting your power. It feels right. And some games need to have it. Come on. But once you're at that point, you are now looking at the course. You are trying to decide where you want your shot to go to get par. But sometimes you might also find yourself looking for a shortcut to maybe make a better, par time if you don't want to deal with the long route. Or other times you might see gold medals on the course. Sometimes they're being pushed around by objects. Sometimes they might be stationary but annoying locations. But either way, you see a gold medal, you're going to want to get it because they're good for unlockables. So grab them if you can. They likely will screw up your par, but whatever. This is all about collecting things sometimes. But then at that point, it's time to hit the ball, adjust it. It goes, and then zoom, it goes down the course, dodging bulldozers and sometimes getting stopped by glue that's lying on the floor in this messy, messy home. But eventually the ball stops, and you would line up a shot, and you attempt to make another one, hopefully getting under par at the end of the course. I do like the variety of different objects that exist on these courses that are imaginative and kind of tweak things, including like portals and cannons. Not your traditional, even your traditional realistic mini golf. They have some very fantasy elements in the game that make things pretty cool and shine in a way that I feel makes me want to play mini golf more. In fact, I like golf games, but it's the imaginative and wacky ones that make me want to play. I'm not a big fan of the typical, here's just your basic course like Neo Turf Masters or whatever.
Yeah.
Though I do like Neo Turf Masters, but I prefer fantasy. Neo Turf Masters is fun because of my friends and the fact there's a character named Young Frickin' Hero in it. But otherwise, I could do without that. Something like this,
you're more of a golf with friends guy than a PGA golf.
Bingo. That's exactly it. I feel like if I had all the equipment, I'd golf with friends in real life too. But yeah, that's exactly who I am. And I think this game does well with that, especially because from what I come to understand, because I was playing alone for this review or this preview, but it does have couch co-op or couch competitive, which is awesome for that. Because you can yell at each other and complain about how their balls are doing or whatever. Though I do question, and if they're listening to this, I hope they explain it because, again, I couldn't test it for myself. Can you disturb the other player's balls? If it's not something you can do, I think it would be awesome if you added that as an option. Because if I'm playing mini golf with friends and I have all these wacky setups that I can do, you bet your sweet bippy there's going to be the occasion where I'm going to try to intentionally knock their ball out of orbit. And I think that just adds to the fun of the game, especially when you've got weird obstacles that if you can say knock the ball behind the bulldozer that's moving, for example, now they got to not only time their ball to get out of this stinkhole, but they also got to get around the bulldozer that's moving around too. I think that's just fun. I think that would add to the game.
Until you fuck up and you hit the ball and it goes into the hole and yours goes behind the bulldozer.
Hey, that's the risk you run when you try to screw your friends over. That's the risk you run. So
I would hope that's a setting, but I guess we'll find out.
No, definitely a setting. Oh, you're saying like you hope it would be a setting and not the requirement.
Yeah.
But yeah, please make it a setting because I would play with that. I would absolutely utilize that. I think Brooke would too. She seemed like she was there.
No, I'm all about it.
But this game is about it.
By the way, I'm here for you. Bet your sweet bippy. I'm going to start saying that.
Yes. I'm scared.
All right. Well, we don't have a price on it yet, but the game comes out in about a week and a half. Should people keep their eyes on this one? I'm going to guess we'll have a full review eventually.
If they maintain this, I think if they maintain this trajectory, it's definitely worth it. I mean, they're promising 100 holes. And that's plenty. I mean, I'm used to games like Mario Golf where it's like, Mario Golf gives you a lot of courses or setups too, but I'm used to like about 100 holes or less, 96 holes. So I think 100 is plenty. And these courses are fun and imaginative. They have a number of par 5s here, so I'm getting my time out of it. It's not all par 2s.
And it's all done in Unreal Engine too, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Looks insane from the screenshots I've seen.
And yet it's also computer friendly. I'm using my 2020 laptop and it was running just fine on there.
Nice. All right. Well, I guess that's it for this episode.
Hey, we did it.
we did, and Brooke was here.
I'd like to thank Joe for hosting. I'd like to thank Pernell for being here. I'd like to thank myself for hitting Joe up earlier today and being like, hey, I can't do it, I'm sick. And then later being like, hey, I'll come on, and then coming on anyway, and for some reason staying the whole time. It's great. Dude, what a roller coaster. I started feeling like really dizzy, and then I started feeling dizzy after our show preamble before my review, and I started feeling better before my review. So glad it worked out.
I like to thank all the little people.
Wait, we have a button for that.
Yay! Yay! What is that? Is that Kermit?
No, that's
definitely
Jacob.
Joe. What?
That's
it's
Jacob.
Not Joe? Oh, wow. You do a really good impression of that clip because you did your version of that clip the other day. Yeah, I thought that was you for sure.
Yeah, so that one just there was me, but this one is Jacob.
Yay! Nice. Jacob is very much secretly Kermit the Frog.
Kermit's good people.
He was talking about Kermit possibly showing up in Disney Dreamlight Valley, I think it was.
Oh, cool.
Oh, is that what I saw? He was trying to do a Kermit.
Yeah, he was intentionally doing a Kermit yay. And I clipped it, and now we have it on the soundboard.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, he
just
definitely did a good job. Yeah. That doesn't sound like Kermit at all.
Not Kermit, it's Pernell.
Fucking yeah! That is Pernell. What the hell was he doing there?
Music this episode. I'm torn between doing Animal Crossing, because you mentioned Animal Crossing in your Morels review, or doing Gitaroo Man because I found a PSP emulator and I've been playing Gitaroo Man Lives. Always
Gitaroo Man. Always Gitaroo Man. Yeah. Have you played Gitaroo Man before, Brooke?
I have not.
Oh.
I haven't even heard of it.
Remedy. You got to remedy it. It's so good. It's one of the tops. It's top tier.
Yeah, it's on PS2 and PSP. And nothing else.
Oh, that's rough. You know,
that's a game that needs to come back so bad. I love Gitaroo Man.
Please make it a little easier if you do. But otherwise, yes, bring it back.
So, Pernell, which song from Gitaroo Man would you like to hear?
Sanbone Trio.
Works for me. Any final words?
Sanbone Trio. Make your wiener sing.